right, I do have guided notes here. I think somewhere. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? All right. Thank you. But hey, hold on. But hold on to that homework and if I have time, I'll take a grade on it at the end or a check on it, and then you can let me know what issues you have. You want to take the food out.
Issues like this.
Anybody know the players here? Senior?
Couldn't tell you.
All right, we won't get through all of this today. All right, but now section 6.5 and then 6.6. This is all a solving trig equation using what we've kind of known or what we've been using now in equation format. So if you take a look here, all right, how could you find the value of x in the following trig function? All right, pay attention to the details or the directions there. Find all values of x. 0 is less than or equal to x is less than 360. All right, one thing about this, it does have the less than or equal to part, okay, for the first part and just less than for the second part. That's simply saying you don't want to put down an answer of 0 and 360. Okay, that would be kind of repeating that same solution. It would only be 0, okay, because they're coterminal angles. All right, what do you know? What angle has a sine of 1/2? Okay, we've done this pretty much. Or a lot. What angle has a sine of 1/2? 30. What other angle has a sine of 1/2?
150.
150. Okay, as well. So your answer for this would be 30 degrees and 150. Okay, 30 degrees, opposite sides a half, but it says from 0 to 360. So it wants every angle from 0 to 360. So then you also have sine is also positive in quadrant 2. So it has to be 150. All right. How about cosine of x equals square root of 2 over 2? What angles have a cosine of radical 2 over 2? 45. 315. Okay, because where is cosine positive at? It is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. All right, so you have 45 and 315. And that's all the ones you need to list, just those two, because it says from 0 to 360. Now, as you take a look at this, find all values of x from not 0 to 360, but 0 to what? 2 pi, which means our answer needs to be in radians. Okay, now you can think in degrees, that's fine, but your answer has to be, your final answer has to be in radians. All right, well, sine, all right, where is sine negative at? Quadrants 3 and 4. The opposite side is square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so that means our reference angle, I'm just going to think in degrees right now. Our reference angle is what? 60. So what is the actual two angles going to be? So that's 60 and that's 60. That's 180 plus 60, which is 240. That's 360. That's a 60. Minus 60, which is 300. What is 240 in radians? Multiple 60. 4 times 60 is going to be 4 pi over 3. And what's 300? It's going to be 5 pi over 3. All right, so you got those two answers. Why is that not working? All right, and so how about tangent of x equals 1? All right, take a second, think through that, see if you can come up with your angle for that. Oh, let me do something. All right, there we go. All right, well, tangent of x equals 1, where's that gonna be? What degree, or you think degree is fine? 45, right? And then so that's pi over 4. Where else is tangent positive at? It's gonna be positive in quadrant 3. So that's gonna be a 45-degree angle because it's square root of 2 over 2 on both the opposite and adjacent. And that's gonna be 45 degrees. So we get x equals pi over 4 by pi over 4. Okay, for that. All right, now that last one there. All right, secant of x equals 1/4. So when you think about this, secant of x equals 1/4, let's think in terms of cosine. So it's really asking me where cosine of x equals what? 4 over 1 or 4. Where's cosine of x? What angle has a cosine of 4? All right, remember for this, if you're looking for the angle, the cosine of any angle has to be between -1 and 1. So if anything's bigger than 1 or less than -1, it's not going to exist. Okay, so there's no solution for that. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, anything bigger than 1 for cosine or sine doesn't work. Or less than -1. All right, so there's your cases there. First one, 0 to 360, make sure your angles are in degrees. 0 to 2 pi, make sure they're in radians. Okay. All right, what if we don't know the exact value? All right, find all values, 0 to 360, sine of x equals 1/4. How do we do that? Use your calculators. Okay, you got it, use your calculator. All right, pull those out. Make sure for this first part you are in degree mode. Let me pull out my calculator. Hopefully. Oh, there it is. All right, if you are looking for the angle, okay, first of all, I got to make sure mode. All right, I am in degrees. Okay, what angle has a sine of 1/4? Okay, you have to hit inverse sine, okay, of 1 divided by 4 or 0.25. That doesn't matter. And it's going to give us, now nearest tenth is fine, 14.5 degrees. So x equals 14.5 degrees. All right, here's the issue though. It wants all the values between 0 and 360. Your calculator will only give you that one value. There is another answer out there. Okay, because remember, we defined the inverse sine function to exist from -90 to 90. It will only give you that one answer back. But what quadrant is there a second answer in? Quadrant 2, where sine is positive. What is our second answer going to be? Well, that just means right here, my reference angle is 14.5 degrees. That means in quadrant 2, I have to have the same reference angle. So the actual angle will be 180 minus 14.5. Okay? So you can take 180 minus 14.5, 165.5. So you do have two answers, 165.5 degrees on there. And so if you just want to double check it, hit sign. What do I say? 165.5. And I mean, obviously it's not going to be exactly 0.25 because we rounded, but you can get it close enough. So you know you got that. All right, cosine of theta equals negative 0.75. It hit inverse cosine of negative 0.75. See what angle we get back. So here's what's going on. The angle equals the inverse cosine of negative 0.75. And now, second cosine, negative 0.75. Okay, 138.6 degrees. Okay, so that's my one answer. So theta equals, what did I say, 138.6 degrees. Where's my second answer at? Okay, where's my second? What quadrant is my second answer at? Quadrant 3, because cosine's positive in 1 and 4. So that means this angle right here is 138.6. Quadrant 3 will be here. Now you got to get that reference angle, or this is one way to do it. So if I take 180 minus 138.6, okay, I get 41.4. That is that reference angle. Second reference angle would have to be the same. So now I take 180 plus 41.4. And that gives me my second angle, which is 221.4. 221.4 degrees. Some of you may have noticed you didn't have to find that reference angle. There's really another way I could go about it. For this one, if this is 138.6, that would have to be equivalent to 138.6. You could have just taken 360 minus 138.6 to get the same thing. But it really doesn't matter which direction you go. I like to do the reference angle because I think you're more familiar with it. All right, now we got to go 0 to 2 pi. It means we have to be in what? Got to be radians. Okay. Now you can either find the angle in degrees or convert it to radians. I would probably just convert your calculator to radians. All right, here's where you really got to be careful, because when you go to do a problem, if things aren't looking right, you really got to double check. Am I in radian mode or am I in degree mode? And we are so used to like pi over 3 and pi over 4 that the decimals kind of throw us off. But we're going to do the same thing. We don't know what that is. We don't know the exact answer for that. So it's not going to make as much sense as the degrees. All right, but do we do the same thing? Sine of x equals negative 0.6. Use your calculator, plug it in, see what you get. And I don't think Claire is here. So let me mark her absent. All right, so inverse sine. Ooh, here's where we go. Negative 0.6. Okay. All right, it gives us negative point. Now it says round to 4 decimal places. Negative 0.6435. All right, here's an issue. Is that acceptable range for what it wants the answer to come back in between? No. Okay, 0 to 2 pi is where it needs to be. 2 pi is about 6.28. So I gotta have, and all my answers are positive. Where is that answer at? Okay. What quadrant is that in? Well, sine is positive in quadrant 1 and 2. Inverse sine, remember we defined it between negative 90 and 90, or negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So that negative answer is right here. And what was it? Negative? Okay. Oh, crap. 0.6435, right? 0.6435. Okay. What will be the positive equivalent answer? What will be the positive equivalent answer? I cannot use that answer because it's not between 0 and 2 pi. So I take 2 pi. Don't do minus and negative. Think of that as the reference angle. But 2 pi minus 0.6435. That will give me one answer. Okay, so I take 2. Well, I actually got it right there. So if I just hit minus 0.6435, I get 5.6397. 5.639. All right. That is coterminal with that negative 0.6435. There's a second answer in there. Where's that at? Quadrant 3. What is the reference angle for this one? It is in radians. The reference angle, just drop the negative and make it 0.6435. And how do I get that whole angle? I got to take, instead of 180, make it pi plus 0.6435. Okay. So, whoops. Second, pi plus 0.6435. And then I get, so here's my 3.7851. 3.7851. And then my other answer is 5.6397. Okay, 5.6397. Because it asks in radians. And it's just like I said, you're not quite as familiar with radians, but that's what you get. All right, do tangent of x. See what you come up with in radians. If you're not quite sure, just hold on. But at least you can get the first answer. You should be able to get the first answer. All right, in 4 decimal places, Alex Phillips, what's the first answer?
1.1903.
1.1903. Okay, so we get that by doing inverse tangent of 2.5. And that is our angle in radians. Where's our second answer at, Isaac? What quadrant? Where's third, because that's where tangent's positive. So that's our reference angle now, 1.1903. And then how do I get that one? 1.1903. So the final answer will be pi plus 1.1903. So take this, hit plus pi, 4.3319. So that's my second answer. .3319. Cosecant of x equals 6.4. Don't have an inverse cosecant button, so what do we have to make this? We have to make this. Don't make it, you gotta be careful how you do that. I would make this sine of x, because if you do 1 over sine, it's probably gonna give you an error message. So make sine of x equals 1 over 6.4. Type that in, see what you get for both answers. Why don't you do? Then you do inverse sine.
Oh.
Okay, so now once you get it here, we want to know what angle has a sine of that. So you do second sine 1 divided by 6.4. Okay, and so that's 1.1569. 0.1569. What quadrant? Is Logan, what quadrant's my next one? Second quadrant. And so I'm going to take pi minus that angle. That's going to give me 2.9847. 2.9847. So all of those get two answers. All those get two answers. Okay. All right, we'll just do these last couple here. All right, now directions, important. Doesn't give you a range. What does it say to find? All solutions. How many solutions technically are there? There's infinite. So how do we list those? Okay, so we're going to list these in radians and degrees. All right, well, where does the cosine of x equal square root of 2 over 2? Let's do degrees first. You remember where? 45 degrees. Where else?
135.
No, not 135. That would be negative. It would be positive at 315. Now, how do I list all of them? Okay, because it's 45 and then what? How do I get the next one? Because what does cosine repeats every what? 360 degrees, right? So 45 plus 360 would be 405 plus 360, what is that, 765? What's 315 plus 360? 675. And then plus another 360, what is that? 1,035? I might be off there. All right, but we get two distinct sets of answers. So for this one here, our answer will be, here's how we're going to write it. X equals 45 degrees plus 360n. So we're just going to add multiples of 360. And 315 plus 360n. One key thing I got to put down, n has to be an integer for any integer n. N could be a negative number, then you're just subtracting multiples of 360. That's not a big deal. So 45 degrees plus 360n, 315 plus 360n. Now I did say I want the solution in what? Radians and degrees. So we just do the same thing within radians. Instead of 45, make it pi over 4 plus, what do I want to do there? Plus 2 pi n. And then make it 7 pi over 4 plus 2 pi n for any integer n. For any integer n. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause here just because I probably won't get quite as far in the other classes. We do need to do that bottom one. We'll hit that tomorrow. All right, let me take off the first 4 of these. I don't think I want you to do. Okay. And just do those 4 just to make sure you know what you're doing. I'm going to try and come back tomorrow and look at that homework for a grade. Do those 4, double check your answers in the back, make sure you know what you're doing. Watch whether your degrees or radians on your calculator based upon the question. All right, let me see what I got here.